Hey YouTube, this is MindTech. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about whether or not I would recommend you use a DSLR as a webcam solution for your streams, especially from my perspective as a up-and-coming content creator who doesn't necessarily have huge budgets to throw on a bunch of equipment. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. So first, to talk about some of the pros, you're gonna get the best quality hands down, and it's not just about the resolution. If you go and buy like a Logitech Brio, or even if you hook up a modern cell phone like even this iPhone 7, you can get 4K capability. A lot of these cheaper DSLR cameras can only do up to 1080p 60 FPS. So you might say, well, that's a lower quality, but I'd say that you're absolutely wrong. What you're getting with the DSLR is depth of field, the ability to change the aperture, the ability to adjust the focus right on the fly and get that really nice blurred background, which can be really helpful if you're streaming and you don't want your fans to necessarily see the background, but you also don't want to have to introduce software blur or even have to do something like a green screen solution, which introduces even more cost to your streaming setup. DSLR cameras have a much larger sensor than phone cameras or webcam cameras, so that means that they can take in a lot less light and still have a good image. If you put a bunch of light at something, normally the camera is going to be able to capture a lot more detail, and you can also get a lot more artistic shots. You could even put your DSLR a lot further away from you and zoom right in manually without losing any quality at all, because that zoom is controlled all through the lens. It's adjusting the way that the light comes into it. It's not enlarging pixels, which I've used a lot. And I mentioned this in my Nikon D3400 first impression review, but I like the ability to set the focus once and forget about it. Not have to worry about it auto-focusing or having some weird lighting issues. And you also have a lot more flexibility with this, whereas with a webcam you have to use the webcam software, which might be finicky, it might be limited, and it's all going to possibly lose quality again because you're adjusting that image through software digitally versus adjusting it manually directly on the camera. And finally, if you don't only want to stream and you also want to record videos, cameras and capture cards offer a lot of flexibility, being able to go from capturing your clean video feed, this is me live streaming live, to projecting your entire monitor up onto a big TV and being able to see details like if you're recording or not, if you have enough space left on the camera. It really just gives you a lot more information than something like a webcam would, where it's literally just the video feed and nothing else. You can also capture other HDMI devices besides your camera. Like this laptop, for instance, it's really helped me out in the past if I'm trying to install a computer and I don't have time or the computer resources to install a screen recording application. So I just plug it right into the HDMI out of the computer and I can record it instantly. And also, if you want to have, let's say, a two-computer solution, you can use the capture card to capture your other computer and then go back to using the capture card to capture your camera if you want to have like an IRL stream where you're just chatting with your viewers. Now, to get into the cons, I have had a lot of issues with this setup. I love it, but there are some hurdles that you're really going to have to get over. First of all, not all cameras are compatible with having a clean capture. I was talking to someone last night about whether or not their lower end Nikon camera would be compatible with the CamLink. If it's always that menu scheme, it's not going to work well for a stream. You're either going to have to crop that menu out in software, or you're just not going to be able to capture it at all. So that really limits, if you already have a DSLR and you want to use it for streaming, it still might not be compatible. Also, if you're using a mirrored camera, that mirror heats up over time and eventually it's going to have to shut off in order to make sure that it doesn't overheat and basically destroy the camera. So in my streams, every 20 minutes it just shuts off. He says I can use it and change all the... Oh, crap.
Oh, man. There it goes.
Yeah. And I have to go and press the button to have it return to my clean feed again, which really bugs my viewers. So I have to go over here, press the button. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. It's just something that I've had to get used to, unfortunately. And finally, not all DSLR cameras have great port selection. You might have to buy adapters or dongles to get your recording solution working correctly. In my case, the D3400 only has a micro HDMI cable. I have to get an adapter to go from that to full HDMI, and that introduces a lot of area for failure. Since I, of course, bought cheap adapters, eventually the connector on the adapter gets so loose that I've run into a lot of issues with it connecting frustrating. If I just bump the cable, sometimes it'll disconnect and freeze the CamLink, so I have to deactivate and activate that again in OBS, and maybe even unplug and replug in the device. It's been a hassle, especially because of the way that the camera is designed. There's these button sequences that I have to press to get it working correctly, and I always have to reset up the focus whenever the camera loses power. That's also recorded a lot of streams and video shoots being completely out of focus because I didn't have time to manually go up to the camera and change that. And also, when I tried to record directly from the camera through the capture card, the HDMI audio feed has a lot of delay. This is what happens when you record with the internal audio and the microphone at the same time. This is what happens when you record with just the microphone. Once I record that whole video in OBS, plug it into Premiere, it's out of sync, and there's no way that I can sync it because there's no other backup audio feed, which has been incredibly frustrating in the past. Also, the solution is a lot more expensive than something like using Ebacam on your phone. You not only have to buy the camera, which you can get some good used deals. Check out my Nikon D3400 review if you want to hear about the deal that I got there, but you also have to buy a tripod, you have to buy adapters, you have to buy the capture card. And that can really get pricey. Like, I've probably invested over $400 in this setup, which is really difficult as a small content creator. So although I love the superior quality, it was still kind of a hard pill to swallow based on how much I had to spend. And also, one really annoying thing is that in most cameras you also have to have an SD card. Even if all you're doing is recording using a capture card, you still have to put that in there because it'll come up with a little feed on your clean HDMI thing saying that there is no memory card selected, so that's also more expenditure. And if you want to record videos with that SD card, you also have to buy an adapter. This cost me $20 and it doesn't even offer great speeds. And also with this D3400, despite the size of the SD card, it has this artificial limit of only like 20 minutes, which doesn't make any sense at all. So I'll just be going on, I'll forget about the time limit, and I'll realize that I recorded 5 minutes of no video at all. That's honestly cost me some shoots in the past. A lot of these cameras are hard to power also. Now I know some of them can be powered over their micro USB port, which I think is pretty cool, but for my D3400, it can't be powered over that port. So I've had to buy this extra battery just to make sure that I can't stream anymore because my battery is dead. And although the battery life is usually pretty good on these cameras, it's still limited, and it's still bulky having to carry around this huge power adapter and having to carry around these pretty big batteries and have to stick it into the camera. Also, like I mentioned before, whenever the camera shuts off, you have to re-enable your manual settings for the focus and such, which can be very time-consuming and frustrating. It's a second thing where my feed just randomly shuts off, my viewers go crazy, plus this is another expense for a genuine battery around $30 to $40. So with that said, guys, I know that I said a lot of negative things about this, but I've honestly loved using this as a webcam. It's honestly offered very good quality, and especially for my thumbnails, it is just incredible the amount of detail that it captures, and I think that it's really made my channel look a whole lot more professional. I'd honestly recommend looking for a used solution like the D3400 and picking up something like the Elgato CamLink. Although it is a lot more expensive than using your phone, I think it still offers a really good value for the way that you're going to present yourself online. And also having a camera like this can open you up to other freelance opportunities like getting into photography, getting into video production. A lot of the time, freelance video people want you to have your own equipment before you actually shoot with them. So having something like this can honestly open up a lot of doors. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.